All right, let's get this party rolling here. I'm Dr. Martin. Sean's fine if you want to call me that, Dr. Sean, anything you want. And I just want to say, I'm thankful for being here. I know Maurice suggested this to your HR. Just say, I know you do it every now and then. Just bring somebody in, talk to you a little bit about, what's good for you, probably, maybe what's not so good for you. But we just want to say thanks. We're respectful of that. I thought we had a bit more of a time limitation today, so I only have a little bit of time. We usually do a bit longer talks, like maybe 40-minute talks on different topics, stress, women's health, things like that. But we just started doing just some shorter 10-minute talks because, to be honest, with a lot of places it helps. Not everyone can commit an hour at a business like that for lunch. So I'm going to probably talk for maybe 10, 12, 15 minutes or so. And then I know afterwards you guys get a chance to get some massages and things like that. And I'm sure it's not rigged to favor anybody at all over there. But there's been some hinting of that. But I don't know if that's going on. But what I'm here to do is, I'm going to have this with me a little bit because I just started. And this is basically my second one of these little 10-minute talks. And with the longer talks, I've got my PowerPoint, and I want to make sure I hit everything. So I'll have this here. And if you didn't know, there's a guy named Mark in the back with the camera. You're all safe. Really, we're just getting some footage of me talking up in front of some groups because we're making some DVDs as we just expand our public speaking and going out into different companies. People want to know who's coming in. But, my goal here really today is just kind of, boldly step out a little bit and, help everyone realize that we want to get a little proactive with our health instead of reacting. Most of our health care now, as they call it, really isn't so much health care. It's more like sick care, when does everyone think of going to the doctor? When do you think of going to the doctor? And you're sick, right? And that's just the way it is. And that leads us to just really just kind of spiraling a little bit down. And most of us wait until there's some kind of, negative event. Right, like a catastrophic or negative event to really think about our health. We all know the scenario, whether it's us or a family member, you're kind of laying in hospital or you're after getting sick and you're kind of laying there and you're just thinking about, oh my God, you're praying to the high and mighty. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change that. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do all these things. But science tells us it's 90 days, right? 90 days, you're back to the same old life, right? And that's why, people will have multiple heart attacks and things like that because we get real on it for a while. Okay, it's kind of like January at the gym. We get right into it. I've got a gym next door to me at work. You can't get a parking spot in our parking lot in January. February, pull up to the door, right? We all kind of tend to stick to things short term. So I want to make you think that way. If we can just start thinking proactively instead of just reacting, everyone's going to be a lot better overall, especially with all these rising costs of health care. You all probably know about deductibles going up, and co-pays going up. And that's just a sign of the times. We've got to start thinking about ourselves a little bit. So, my professional training is, I'm a chiropractor. And most people, when they think of that, what's the first thing you think of when you hear of a chiropractor? Back pain, neck pain, headaches, sciatica, stuff like that. Car accident, especially if you're on Dixie Highway, right? There's no chiropractor on Dixie Highway doing anything but car accidents. But, we're an office with a wellness emphasis, neck, back, headaches, all that stuff, that's easy. That's a side effect of what I do. It's real easy to do that, but we've really focused on, kind of just wellness, making a paradigm shift for people if they want it. Just what are your goals? What are your expectations? What are your past limitations, health issues? What do you do? Some people are golfers. Some people like to just lay on the couch, watch some movies. Some people like to hike. We kind of want to see what you're looking for and really help you achieve that. And some of the biggest things that we do are things that people don't know about, in that wellness emphasis. And I guess I consider myself a wellness expert here in the city, is, fatigue, sleeping problems. You show me a man or a woman over the age of 30 who pays bills, who doesn't have some issues with being tired, and sleeping issues and waking up and having trouble getting to sleep. That all affects us. They call us the caffeine nation because we're all going around sucking back caffeine sodas, caffeine coffees. We all need it because we're just drained, man. Life is tough, right? If you just put a fraction of our time and energy into being proactive about our health, it saves you a ton of time later. The old thing, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? But most of what we do really is react, and we're all as guilty as the rest. I am too, but the more we do, the better, and that's what we're here for. So, want to be respectful of your time, and like I said, a lot of the talks we do are 40-minute talks, they'll PowerPoint, and this is my first time seeing one of these smart boards. I've never known about that before, so that's pretty neat. So I would have showed up with all my old-fashioned equipment if I was doing a longer talk, but I'm glad to see that. But most of our talks are about that, about women's health, stress in the workplace, things like that. But I just wanted to shorten it down today because I had limited time, and give you a couple sound bites, just really super simple stuff to just help out a bit if possible. And the first one is, a lot of people are kind of misled into thinking that most of our health issues are genetic. There's a genetic component, but for the most part, we all make our choices, right? We do our things, and just something as simple as walking. Just walking 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, can reduce your risk of heart attack, or heart disease, I should say, by 50% up to the age of 70, regardless of family history. Okay, so even if you've had 5 people in your family who've had heart attacks, just that stat alone is going to make sure that you kind of dodge the nation's #1 killer, okay? Because the #1 threat to us in the country is heart disease, okay? #2 used to be cancer. Cancer is now #3. #2 cause of death in the United States now is prescription medication, okay? Side effects and reactions to that type of thing. So it actually just took over #2 last year, right? And we take a lot of pills, right? So you gotta be wary of that stuff. So just even something as simple as walking can reduce that heart disease by 50%. And then, another thing, like women's bone density. Anybody in here know anybody who's know any women that deal with just worried about osteoporosis or osteopenia or anything like that? Tough crowd. No. But
almost like 5 inches shorter than she used to be.
Okay, yeah. I'd say 80% of any females over the age of 50 that come in my office are on some kind of Caltrate or calcium or prescription medication for bone density. And one of the biggest misinformations out there sometimes is that sometimes people start doing water aerobics and things like that, thinking, okay, I got to get out there, start exercising, get moving. But the way bone density works is that your body needs stress applied to the joints in order to put more calcium in there to get stronger. Just like a muscle, if you stress it with heavy weights, it gets stronger and denser and you get big muscles. So if you're out there exercising in the pool, you know how much less you weigh in the pool, right? It's kind of like being on the moon almost, It's not a lot of weight because of the buoyancy. You're actually promoting thinner bones, because if I walk around right now and I'm 205, okay, in the pool, if I'm walking around doing exercise, I'm like 60 pounds. So my bones continue to just get thinner because there's no need for them to get stronger, okay? So there's things like that out there that people just aren't sure about certain things, and we want to help make sure you know what's going on, individualized for you all, if we could help at all. And, with that 50% number for the heart disease and things like that, if you increase your intensity a little bit from just walking 30 minutes a day, and you throw a few runs in there, a few jogs, or even a couple lunges, whatever you want, the number goes up. So 50% becomes 60%, 60% becomes 70%. You can really take it as high as you want to, okay, and feel as good as you want. And if you like that kind of stuff, those kind of talks, and I know those are very simple little tidbits. We do a lot more longer talks, like I said, and if that's something you're interested in and you're ever interested in having us back, at another point, and I know Maurice kind of put it in his ear there over there to get us in here, we can go ahead and do that. And what we do is, come in. We actually bring lunch for you. We come in as a part of a group called Wellness Champions. It's a national group, and that's part of what this DVD that they're shooting is for. And we come out here to get some energy in the room, have a little fun, PowerPoint. So it's not just me up here in front of you. We get some other stuff going on, and really get you some more information about specific stuff. And we actually have a menu, so it's kind of like a restaurant. You just kind of pick and choose what type of topics you like. But in the short time I've got, the idea, like I said, is just create that kind of a shift, like a powerful shift about I feel better. And to really, help anyone out, you kind of got to get specific with it. what we do is if we ever look at anyone in my office, and again, it's all about wellness, and I'm in my office, let's just get specific: age, gender, past limitations, things like that. What do you like? What do you want to do? Do you have kids, grandkids? There may be some people in this room who've had a heart attack, or have had cancer, or certainly a family member, something like that. So that just puts you in a different ballpark than someone else, and what can we do for you moving forward? Okay. So, I'm going to basically be getting out of here in a little bit. I know Ashley's going to be staying for massages, and Katie and Ashley are in the back there. I guess you probably all saw them when you came in, but they'll wave at you. I was trying to think of what I could do to, if anyone wants any help, what could we do for them? Basically, I was trying to think of the best way, and the way we've been doing it lately is we raise money for Make-A-Wish. As long as you donate, we've raised $5,000 for Make-A-Wish in the last 8 months, okay? So we'll go with American Heart Association if that works for you. And I kind of know, why I'm here, and I'm not trying to sell you on anything, but as a doctor, the definition of doctor is teacher. Most doctors don't teach you very much anymore, okay? You get your pills, you get your meds, right? And I want to make sure I do educate people in how to take care of themselves. And also as a doc, I know, the thief of health is procrastination, right? Most of us just kind of put things off and put things off and put things off until it really builds up, and then we've got to be the one, like I talked about earlier, making those health choices kind of in a reactive scenario. Like we just dodged a bullet, all right, now I'm going to do something about it. So, if I don't help you understand that, I kind of feel like I didn't do my job too well. So I want to just make sure I impart that upon you. And, like I said, the girls will be in the back, okay? I know they're going to do a drawing for the massage a little bit later. And, I know we can kind of help. We can do it two ways. We can do it in my office, or of course we can come out here and educate you a little bit more involved on certain topics. Usually the most popular two are stress and women's health, okay? Do you have any other things anybody be interested in hearing about? Any other health topics at all?
Could you maybe get into a little bit here, even today now, about sitting at the desk and ergonomics?
Yeah.
About the right way to do things, the height of the monitor and all that good stuff, and maybe some stretching exercises, or what can you do?
Yeah, for sure.
For the office worker.
Well,
For
it's
sure.
office related.
What I was going to get into in just a moment was that, in our office we see some athletes, we see some U of L athletes, a couple of pro athletes, and they've got themselves careers that only last so long, right? They kind of, some of them will be just 3-4 years, some of them will be 10 years, and they have off seasons, especially the U of L folks. They have access to physical therapists, chiropractors, orthopedic surgeons, MDs, flexibility coaches, strength coaches, nutritionists, massage therapists. They have everything. And I kind of deal with people like ourselves as we're more corporate athletes, right? We got 9 to 5, 40 years sometimes, right? Hopefully sooner the better, but sometimes it can go on forever. There's no off season. We got to come in here every day, 8 to 9 hours a day, do our work, be productive. If we're not productive, we get in trouble. You got to kind of make health a little bit more weekly, if not daily. And we can apply those same corporate type things about, position, like runners, you need to know how to run, right? And you need to run so you don't hurt yourself, okay, your knees or your hips or anything like that. In the workplace, what you're looking at is the biggest, simplest thing that I share with people when they come in, because that's a question we get all the time, of course, is just how to sit at the desk, and you can come in and you can get real fancy with it and go individually with everybody. But have you ever had someone come in and talk about ergonomics before? Is this a repeat type of thing, or is this brand new? Okay. First and foremost, of course, in a perfect world, I assume you're all on computers, right? And do you all utilize phones as well, or just mostly computers? Phones. Okay. So you want to be really kind of straight on, right? I know that sounds super simple, right? But that's not always the way your desktop is set up, or your are you in cubicles, or you have individual offices? Cubes? Okay, bit of both. All right, so you want to be straight on. You could imagine, in case any of you aren't, if you're typing like this all day and looking that way, over time it's going to wear a little bit. Anybody watch NASCAR? Okay? So I don't watch much of it, but you always going left. What tires wear down first? Right? Outside tires, right? If you're always going one way, you're going to wear down unevenly. So in NASCAR, they'll change the right tires occasionally, maybe up to twice as much as the left tires, right? So same thing. So just be looking straight at the monitor. And then another question I get a lot of is, seat height and all this type of thing. I've seen some people get some information that I don't necessarily agree with. But what I always tell people is the simplest way to just be in a better position while you're at the computer or at your work is just lower your seat and raise your monitor, okay? Now, some people have seats that can lower, some people have fixed height seats, but if you can just get yourself from kind of this position to more this position, it's very easy. And I probably wouldn't be a far stretch to say that there's probably some people with some tension across their shoulders right now, right? I would be willing to bet that 70% of you have that because our jobs are hard. 100 years ago, there wasn't anybody working at a desk on a computer. People aren't made for it, right? We're just not. So my advice, lower the seat, raise the monitor, raise the keyboard. I'm not sure, again, your individual scenarios, but if you have the pull-out keyboard tray, I tell people one easy way is just take the keyboard and lay it on top of the desk. That gets you about 4 inches or so right off the bat. And lower the seat and just be like that. Because our heads weigh 14 pounds on average. And if you are like this, looking down a little bit, all day long, 14 pounds. Imagine walking around with a 14-pound dumbbell all day long, okay? It's going to get sore here. That's going to give you all kinds of aches here. And the more achy you are, more irritable you get. More irritable you are. Achiness, the better worse your sleep, right? When you don't get your sleep, I know I'm mad. I'm an angry boy in the morning if I don't get my Z's, right? You're probably the same way. And all that tension, okay, leads to headaches. 70% of all headaches, of the 11 types of headaches, are cervicogenic. It means originates in the cervical spine, or tension headaches, okay? So all that just kind of spirals, right? And when you're not feeling good and you're not sleeping good, you're not working good, and then HR is down your throat about productivity and all this type of stuff, right? Not him, right, of course, but you're just not going to feel as good, you're not going to be as productive as well, right? And let's face it, we live this life one time, right? And if you're spending years of your life just always, every time someone looks at you, you're going, just rub my neck, seriously, give me a rub, right? Like that, or you look over, someone's always like this, and I know you see this around the office. That's a result of just that tension, stress, wear and tear over time, both from a combination of just habits of the way we work, okay, maybe some bad posture, things like that, and you don't even know about it, right? Combine that with possibly over time that leads to joints being misaligned, all kinds of things like that that can really wear you down. Does anybody have any specific questions about ergonomics? Does anyone have any types of jobs in here that aren't seated at a desk or anything just different than the majority? Yeah.
I'd say they have tightness right through here, and I think it's from using the mouse.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, repetitive stress injuries. Have you heard of
Is there
that?
a way to avoid that?
It's tough, right? You got to use your mouse. So what else are you going to do? You can't just not commit, right? So I would start with the postural, right? Chances are, though, that stuff just wears on you, and you might need it looked at individually. Of course, we all know typing, talking, holding the phone up like this all the time if you don't have a headset or whatever, it's just going to wear on you and it's going to create issues. And that's the type of stuff we look at. Everything's got to be individualized for that, because if you use a mouse and you use a mouse, and you got that problem and you don't have that problem, there's probably something else at play as well in addition to that kind of postural thing. But it's very common, okay, because what have we got? I don't know what the workforce is in the U.S. now, but it's got to be pretty huge. But we've at least got 50 million people coming in every day clicking mouse, right? And I mean, that's what everyone does now if you're not on a line at Ford or something. So it just tends to give us a lot of very similar problems, and that's why so many of us get all that tension up here. If it's a little bit worse, you'll get some tingling, right? If you pay attention, if you ever get tingling in your hands, you can actually identify it to this side, or your middle finger. I won't show you that way. But it just depends on where it's coming from, what actual nerves are irritated in your neck and things like that. So I would just lower the seat, sit back, probably get looked at. Be proactive about it. Like I said, just wait with you. The longer we put it off, procrastination is the thief of health. Before you know it, you will have my finger's been tingling for 6 months, and you're this girl at the office. Everyone knows that's you. They don't know what you look like on this side. Get your hands there. All right, go ahead.
Were you saying that neck tension contributes to the hand tingling thing?
It depends. For the most part, you're going to get any tingling in your hand that can be identified as anything beyond your entire hand. Okay, and most times it's going to be these fingers, these two, or kind of the middle. Okay, usually these two or these two. They're just specific nerve roots coming down off your neck through your arm. Okay, just like your ulnar nerve, your funny bone. Okay, I can grind on that right now. That's just an exposed nerve. It's part of your 8th cervical nerve in your neck. It's exposed right here. You hit it, you get that, right? If you pay attention, it's just your pinky and this half of this finger. This half is your median nerve. That's the one involved with carpal tunnel. Okay, so you can pinpoint it pretty quick if you know exactly what you're looking for. So you're kind of pulling down on them. If they're irritated, you're going to get a symptom. And the way things go is that everything sneaks up on you, right? You can't feel, and that's what I was getting at earlier about just being proactive with your health choices. 85% of the nerves in your body cannot carry pain. 15% of a nerve can carry pain. It's called a type C nerve fiber. But we base 100% of our health choices on 15% of our nerves. And that's how we all get these sneaking injuries. Like, I don't know what happened, Doc. I just woke up. I swear I felt awesome, and now I can't lift my arm up. You can't feel your heart. You can't feel your liver. You can't feel your kidney. You can't feel your intestines. You can't feel your stomach. You can't feel every organ in your body. And you have no control over them either. Your brain's doing it, right? All you can feel is when the problem gets bad enough to start putting pressure on nerves that can feel pain. That's how you find out, what do you mean I got 4 months to live? I felt great, but you've had a tumor for 10 years, right? That's how you feel an ulcer. That's been there a long time, but you finally feel it. And it's through testing and things like that you can find out these things long before they give you pain, because once they're at a pain level or problems, things are already going to need some work, to kind of get better. Does that make sense? So in our office, we also have some things like with nerve studies and x-rays. You go to the urgent care or you go to the ER or something like that, and you get an x-ray, there's only 2 things being looked at. Is there a fracture? And do I see any evidence of a tumor? Okay, and then you put it down. Well, we look at it differently. We look at that x-ray and say, okay, I can see a problem developing here. What is that associated with in the future? And is this something you want to look at so you avoid that later? Okay, everyone knows about arthritis, right? Osteoarthritis, yeah. That's a big thing that people don't know much about either, and I don't mean that they don't know much about, but you're just not told about. All health terms, all health phrases are just Latin words that sound fancy for simple English things, okay? Osteoarthritis, okay? Rheumatoid is the one in the fingers. That's an autoimmune disease that you'll see sometimes, most notably on senior females, okay? But osteoarthritis, osteus is just Latin for bone. Arth is Latin for joint. Itis is Latin for inflammation. So when I say osteoarthritis, it sounds very, oh my God, what do I got? But what it is it's the bony joints inflamed. That's all it means. Like dermatitis. Derma, prefix in Latin for skin. So when someone says you got dermatitis, all it means is your skin's inflamed. There's no reason why. It's just a matter of, okay, let's put some anti-inflammatory lotion on it, right? So in your body, and especially in the spine or knees, has anyone ever been told, they got bone-on-bone knees or bone spurs or anything like that, all that is an irritated joint that gets inflamed, which is arthritis, okay? And over time, arthritis leads to degeneration. And that stuff you can see on x-ray, you can pick up on nerve studies, and you can find it before it gets to the symptom level. Does that make sense? Okay. But yeah, so a lot of people aren't sure about their arthritis. They just kind of think you get it as you get older, right? But it's got nothing to do with that, because when we put up our x-rays, if you've got one joint with severe degenerative arthritis and then 6 joints in your neck that look awesome, like the day you were 15, that's your case right there, because the second joint in your neck's as old as the 4th joint in your neck. I mean, you were born head first probably, but a couple seconds at best, right? But they're the same age, right? So it's all that stuff is very preventable, and finding it early, you'll save yourself a world of hurt, because nowadays the number one cause of nursing home use is mobility issues, right? You see the scooters in the store, they weren't there 10 years ago. So your cardiologist, your ER, your oncologist, they're going to keep you living, and when I say who wants to live to 100, not everyone in here is going to say yes. They're going to say, right? Because you're thinking of it could be real bad, right? But get used to it, because by the time our time is up, the way things have been going, our lifespans have gone up 30 years in the last 100, okay? And we're 48th in the world. There's 47 countries living longer than us right now. We're 78 on average. Japan is 87. Morocco is 87, okay? We're down. So we're at least going to get up to them. And that's going to put a lot more people over 100 in the future. So some other people are going to keep you alive. You got to start thinking about, how am I going to enjoy that last 20 years, right? Just one second. I know you had a question in the back.
Right. When you have like pain and things like that, how do you decide whether to put cold to it or warm to it?
Simplest rule I can give you is, if it's new, 3-4 days old, since you've ever done it, if I walk out of here and twist my ankle on the curb, ice. 20 minutes, 20 minutes off. 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off. What happens is, when you put ice on, the blood vessels shrink up. When you take it off, they expand. Now, heat's the opposite. You put heat on a blood vessel, it dilates. You got to take it off, because the longer it stays dilated, like sometimes people fall asleep with a heating pad on, something like that. It feels nice and cozy, but you're actually promoting further inflammation when you do that, because blood starts to seep out of the blood vessels, and blood outside vessels is acidic, and it gets inflamed, and then that whole inflammation. So then you get the dermatitis and myitis and things like that. So ice if it's 3 to 4 days. If it's something old or recurring, heat. Okay. A lot of people have these on and off discomforts, throughout the year. Like every year, 3 or 4 times it comes and bothers you, and it goes away after a week or so. That's absolutely not a muscle issue. That's a big question we get to. Is it muscular or not? And if it repeats or lasts longer than 2 weeks, it's not a muscular issue. You're looking at a joint level issue. Okay. All right, what's your question?
Fact or fiction, because I've heard it both ways from different sources, supposedly
All right, that's all right.
reputable.
What do you got?
Popping your knuckles and arthritis.
Okay, no. All right. So, yeah.
He's trying to do this, and I want to tell him like my mom did.
Yeah.
But I think I'm lying, am I?
You're lying a little bit, but hey, we lie to our kids. I lie to my kid all the time. But it's for their own good, right? In a way, right? So, Santa Claus and all that stuff, right? So.
He's mimicking us, so it's also.
Yeah, they watch and learn, right? It's okay. Anytime you, we work with people. We work with people very gently, from just instrumentation. You never hear a sound, or and other people a little more, aggressively. A lot of people think that everything we do is knees in the back and all that. It's very gentle. There's nothing like that at all. Everyone's always pleasantly surprised, and then sends in their kids or spouse, right? But in between all these joints that can move, right? You get joint capsules. In there, there's fluid. Fluid under pressure can hold more gas than a fluid not under pressure. So that's your physics for the day, okay? Just like a soda, like a Coke, you get it, it's pressurized. You open the top, you hear the sound, and then bubbles start to form, right, out of nowhere. That's carbon dioxide, because you drop the pressure, the bubbles are coming out. In your body, it's nitrogen gas in the fluid. And if those joints just aren't perfectly aligned, and everything's smooth as can be, okay, like a wheel alignment almost in your car, then you're going to get a little pressure builds up, okay, especially if you're always clicking on a mouse, okay, all day long. It'd be like me hopping around on my toes all day long. I'm going to get some tension, right? And if you just distract the joint, you're going to drop the pressure in the fluid, and then the nitrogen gas bubble is going to just kind of burst and make a sound, okay? But it sounds like more of a thud to you than a soda bottle would, because it's got to come through all the water and muscles and tissue of our body, so it's less of a tss and more of a sound like that. So it's okay to drop that pressure. I would advise you maybe not force it really bad, like people ask me that about their necks all the time. If you're just moving like this and your neck makes sounds, that's good, okay? You're letting pressure out. Almost all scenarios, you know, less pressure is better, right? But if you're having to force it, then I'd leave that to me or someone else probably, is what I would do. Your fingers are fairly safe because there's really not any important nerves coming through there, you know, that go to organs and all those things. But when it comes to your neck and back and spine, don't force it. Right? If you stretch and it makes sounds, good. If you always hurt and you stretch and you can't even get it to make a sound, you need to get looked at. Okay? Okay? Because that pressure will end up exploding on you at some point, and you'll have you'll have some troubles, right? So that's just pressure on nerves, right? Just like that funny bone. Yeah. Well, girls are at the back, $20 to American Heart if you want. We'll take a great look at you, let you know, and then you can just make choices based on what I tell you. You know, I'll give you information, a couple of different options, a way to look at it, whether you want to go real proactive on it or just react a little bit, you know, see if you can help me feel better next week. We'll give you 2 options. You just go from there. Let us know what you want. We get busy because we give people those choices. Come get looked at. I hope everybody would everyone I come across, if I could look at them and let them know where they stand, it would change so many lives. Not everyone's going to want it, but for those who do, it's awesome. What's that? Blankenbecker and Shelbyville Road intersection by the Starbucks, Fitness 19, Neutral Zone. Yeah, Neutral Zone. Everyone knows Neutral Zone after the last 2 seasons, I think, right? Those guys have been over there buying boats like crazy. They're living the dream this last 2 seasons. You had a question?
Did I hear you say carpal tunnel is related to the spine and the neck too?
Not necessarily. What it is if I were to just imagine that, if you could just follow me, that we've got your brain, spinal cord, right? Your body works because your brain talks back and forth to it all day long. Not there's like 18 trillion cells in your body. I think 3 billion new ones a day. Your stomach was in there 6 weeks ago, actually, right? It's all new material. The only things that aren't turning over at a high rate are your nervous system and your brain, okay? So everything's new, always coming and dying, right? And so that brain organ connection is what kind of gets things going. So in between all the bones in your neck and back and all these nerves come out, and they all go certain places. It's kind of just like brain mapping, you know. You hear people say, you know what this part of your brain does, this part of your brain. They just probe people and they're like, probe, oh, I see blue, you know, or they probe somewhere else. What was that, just that commercial on TV a little while ago, the doctors work, right? That's just how it's going to work. And it's the same in your spinal cord, because that's how it comes out. It's like the fuse box in your house. And as that nerve comes down, anywhere a nerve's irritated, the weight of a dime will reduce neurotransmission by 60%. Okay? So it doesn't take a lot. Okay? As that nerve comes down, it starts getting divided out. Okay? So a lot of times when people think they have carpal tunnel, they don't necessarily have carpal tunnel. They might have an irritation here, or they might have an irritation here at one of these joints in the elbows where the nerve comes, or they might actually have it right here. Basically, in your wrist, you've got 8 bones called carpal bones. They're like marbles, okay? So you've got 2 bones here, 8 bones right here, that kind of just like a little pile of rocks, okay? Let's just roll around. 5 bones coming off here, and then more bones here. Under there is a tunnel, carpal tunnel, okay? Around here, we've got a connective tissue, a fascia, okay? Just like in our ankles, okay? So that when I do this and I flex this muscle, because my muscles that bend my wrist this way start here. Golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, okay? And if I do this, if this connective tissue isn't here, my muscles, the tendons will kind of come out this way, right? So under here, if you get irritation to that nerve or a drop in the height of the tunnel, okay, then you're going to get less space for the nerve, which is called your median nerve, okay, which is off the 7th nerve in your neck. And that irritation is just like the funny bone, gives you the tingling here, is going to give you tingling here, okay? So it could be a wrist issue, or it could be a neck issue, and much less likely it could be an elbow issue. Okay, so it's just a matter of really going to someone who really knows what they're doing. But when it comes, we have a million kinds of doctors out there because no one can know everything. I guess I'm more of a nerve and bone. If you were to put me in a category, I'd be like neurologist, neurosurgeon, chiropractor, just in how we work, right? What we do. We don't do the same jobs, but our knowledge of the body is the same, right? So a lot of times people will get told, if you just come in and say you got some numbness or pain in your wrist, you just get told carpal tunnel because you're happy with just getting an answer, right? So you get to walk out with an answer, you're happy, right? It's like your kids. Why? But why? But why? But why? But why? But why? Give them a damn answer and they just stop pestering you, right? So that happens a lot in doctors' offices too because they need to get you in and out quicker, right? Than they used to because insurance pays less, right? So does that answer that? I know I went off on a tangent, but I figured it's a good learning opportunity since I was planning for a shorter time.
Really great. Thank you.
Any other questions from anybody? Any other work-specific questions?
Is there anything you can do when you're sitting at your desk for sciatica?
For sciatica,
I mean, I know the other
yeah.
exercises, but what about when you're sitting at your desk?
Yeah, the best thing I would say for sciatica is you're gonna have to get up for a minute.
Stand up.
Yeah. Just the worst things we can do as people for our bodies is sit or stand or lay in one position for a long time, right? Even when we're asleep, we roll around, right? But at work, we don't. In a plane seat, we don't. In a car seat, we can't. If you're driving, So I would suggest to people, if you got every hour, if you just got up for 1 minute 3 times, it's a 3 minute per hour. Get up, walk around. Don't just get up and go, okay, like that. But actually take your joints through their full range of motion in your low back. Just kind of really take it through motion. Just think of a car. Turn the wheel all the way. Turn the wheel all the way. It's going to do a lot more than just going like that. And if it takes you 3 minutes to do that, believe me, your productivity for the other 57 minutes is going to make up for it, more than make up for it, right? Because like we talked about earlier, people who don't feel good aren't as productive. You just can't help it, right? If you got, my head hurts, you're going to be a little behind, right? So I would just say get up, as long as that's okay with the...
At my last job, our desk actually had a section that we could raise up.
Right.
And we could raise our monitors and we could stand up.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, it might be tough. I know they're kind of few and far between. I know a few people who have them, but I would just say get up and just literally move through your full range of motion. You don't necessarily have to dance like this, but you can do whatever you need to do. Just stretch it out, right? You just think the longer I'm still, the more it's going to bother me. Okay? Any other questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
It's, when you're sitting for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know, what is it, your wrist bone in your thigh, hit on the outside?
On the hip? Yeah, okay, yeah.
It starts to hurt.
Oh,
Starts to hurt. Yeah, again, still for long and repetitive stress, right? Repetitive stress. And it just takes a little bit to create a problem, right? The littlest kind of repetitive wear on our bones and joints leads to swelling and irritation, right? Which is arthritis, right? Technically, because if I broke my arm, I made a joint, it's inflamed, now it's arthritis. Okay, that makes sense? So even a ring, like, for some reason there, just a little while ago, I took my wedding ring off, and just even that little irritation, you ever have trouble getting your wedding ring off, right? And sometimes it's because we gain weight, and sometimes, I didn't gain any weight. It's just literally, it creates a swelling, okay? And some people on their ring finger, just have a bigger knuckle here, right? And any injury can lead to that, whether it's traumatic, like you had that, look at his thumb over there on the way out, right? That's extreme, right? But even a little irritation repeated over and over and over and over and over will lead to that swelling and inflammation and some soreness, and especially in the hips where we're sitting down all day long. So, the way I do it is we really get in there and just figure out what's going on. Is it misaligned? Is it jammed? Is it twisted? Usually over time, things tend to shift because we all have habits, right? I sit on the same side of the couch. You all sit in the exact same place every day at your house, right? You all have a place you like, okay? And if you tell me you don't, you're pretty much I'm gonna call you a liar, okay? We all sleep on the same side of the bed, right? In most scenarios, it's facing away from our loved one, you know, and the guy trying to scoot away and the girl trying to come over because he's warm and she's cold, right? Very typical, repeatable stuff. But you know, that stuff just wears us down, and it's very rare because of that. Like if we took some films on someone, to not see some kind of pelvic unleveling, something like that, right? We all drive the same way. I'm a left-hander. Some people are right-handers. Some people are lean back. Some people are on the wheel, right? And you do it every day, right? 98% of the time. So that stuff just wears you funny. So it's a possibility, like, does one of your hips bother you more than the other one? Or are they both about the same? Always on the left. So, you know, there's got to be a reason for that, right? So, you know, you'd be looking at that, and it's really easy to see, and that's why I love some of those tests and kind of futuristically looking at x-rays to show people, because remember, you can't have a symptom without a reason, right? Your tire can't leak without a hole, right? And you can patch it, Tylenol, pain injection, stuff like that. But until you find the leak, you know, and do something about it, it's going to just keep getting worse. And I mean, I've gone down that road. Then your tire leak goes from taking a week to taking a day to you just put air in it. Now you're flat in the parking lot.
Shreds on the freeway.
Right, you know, so proactive way to do it, and that'll help you both in here, out of here, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? And at the end of the day, you want to be proactive, be productive at work, because you come to work for one thing: better your home life, right? You know, we're here. No, they love you. They love coming in here to work for sure, but you know, you work for you and your family, so you better your life, and you want to do a good job at work so you can do a good job at home, and it all kind of ties in, overall health. Yeah. So now I'm going to be getting to scoot out of here because I did stay a little longer than I planned, and I'm glad I could, but I got to get back to the office. You know, like I said, the girls are in the back. If anyone's interested, $20. You know, American Heart Disease Association.
Well, we haven't chosen that one yet.
Okay.
We did that last year, and we're going to do one this year. It could be American Heart Association.
Okay. Yeah, and if you want, you know, like I said, if you want to do that, we'll take a great look at you. It's just good for today only, because I really do want to make a shift for you. You know, I want to make, if I, like I said, don't inspire you to be a little more cautious about your health, and I guess I did a pretty good job